Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's me, Aaron, with American Interviews. We're out here today in the historic Old Town Eureka, next to the unfortunately no longer working water fountain. With all the propaganda, misinformation, and disinformation flying around these days, we're out here to ask the question, what news publications do you trust? We're going to find out. You wanna come tell the camera and show them? Oh, okay. Understandable. The Progressive, he said. He was carrying the publication. How's it going, man?
You doing this for college?
No, just myself.
I mean, you making a documentary or something?
I do a YouTube show.
YouTube show? Okay, yeah. I figured it had to be some kind of
Yeah, just doing it for my own pleasure.
easy answer. None of them.
You want to say it to the camera?
Sorry, buddy. I got some panties over there. I'm
You're
trying
good.
to sell. I'm wearing some of these wraps.
Hey, what are you doing? You're a news reporter?
Something like that.
Maybe see this much from your camera. Hey, camera. What you reporting?
The question's on the board over there if you want to walk around. Please don't hit the
I'm
tripods.
not.
You need to be in front of the camera now.
What news? What I say? Publication do you trust?
What news publications do you trust?
I guess all of them.
I trust the Washington Post, the Guardian. That's about it.
People can stare, but as soon as they're addressed. It's funny how that works.
That's a great question. I would say I don't completely trust any, but as far as when I read the news, I tend to go for BBC. I lived in London. I found that living there and experiencing a lot of these stories, it's, compared to us, it's sort of a small country and you can actually sort of talk to people who've been in these events that occur. And so I found that it generally tended to be pretty correct as far as the basics of the stories that it was presenting. As far as opinion pieces, I would say that's just a matter of opinion, and I don't know that I trust any source. There's people I agree with or don't agree with in opinion pieces under any news source. But I tend to follow BBC, and after that I tend to just try to balance out. I'll do a little CNN and I'll do a little Fox, just to kind of get the different perspective. But yeah, I tend to go with BBC.
Yeah, public bathrooms in Eureka. He won't share his drugs. Whoopsie. So after a long day of standing around in Old Town Eureka and only getting a few answers, I decided to pack up and head over to the Arcata Plaza the next day.
Two Rivers Tribune, the Times Standard, Lost Coast Outpost, except for they put me on blast a long time ago, but anyway, that's beside the point. But I like to look on some Facebooks and stuff, when it comes to local stuff. I enjoy being on top of the news and on top of everything else. I try not to be a perfectionist. I try to be more of a person that's gaining in progress.
Yeah, definitely.
So, anyhow, yeah, Two Rivers Tribune and Lost Coast Outposts and
So some local publications.
And I'm subject to Indian Reservation in Hoopa Valley channels. We get Key TV, and that's 5 channels of Key TV and 2 channels, 1 channel Ion and 1 NBC, and that's pretty much what reservation channels are. So we get 7 good channels.
I can't really say that I can think of one that I could trust fully all the way for everything. And then also, like, in this current day and age, it's like, what is really applicable? Like, what is even relevant that we could call news also, I think.
There's a lot of opinion pieces out there. Yeah.
Yes. Right. So what is our intention or, like, trajectory of news? Are we genuinely trying to notify people, or, like, and how do we deal with that now, and how does it go on, rather, as opposed to jumping into, like, a conspiracy theory on anything, whatever.
Right.
It's like, whatever, this, that, and other may be, but we're also just regular people that have to get on in life, so, it's a multi-purpose thing, the news. So, like, maybe there was an innocence there of, like, we were doing the news in that way, all these years ago, there's a purity there, it made sense, but now I think there's so much lost in translation, and just, like, so even if it's not exactly a flat-out lie on purpose, sometimes it's more like the telephone game of things, and yada yada. So I think it's just like a time for evolving.
So just misinformation.
Yeah, but it's
There's
like
a lot of disinformation too.
there is. I was gonna say it's not just one thing, right? With one group of people. I think currently it's so many different factors. So it's not like we could pick one and be like, oh, now we took care of it, But the first thing is just communicating in public or in your community, or I think is the first positive step.
Well, I trust the San Francisco Chronicle, and I trust the Wall Street Journal to be the best of the best. The most trusted sources. If you have a problem or something going on, they're independent reporters and investigators are some of the best in the world. They'll go overseas and come back, and they'll walk amongst their own civilians at a more internal rate of a counteragent than actually anything else. They'll stand holds for the common civility of the native laws of the American Constitution. They'll even come back and clear up White Widow press nests with wolf packs in their own flocks, and that's kind of what we're facing up in Humboldt County right now in California. And it's kind of sickening. I mean, myself, I just got out of the Simple Violence Institution for that, with the Minton teams, the former press agents, putting the press noose around my neck for something. So I also trust the what's called the Wall Street Chronicle and the KRON news teams. But
locally, I watch I like Lost Coast Outpost, Red-Headed Black Belt. I like more independent news. I watch Democracy Now! I used to watch TYT, but they've had some issues lately. But probably more independent. I'm not really liking corporate news and where that's going right now. So
thank you for that. Really quick, do you have any?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question for that. Would you ever be in favor of censoring any news publications?
Mostly false IP news publications of a glorified sex rate. They need more censorship than others, but what established my career with the actual call in 1996, coming back from San Francisco Chronicle, was malice in school against my clothing and military pinning, and a call from duck stamps on my hunting license and registry. So no, most news, even fake news, should be played and displayed at its proper place and time. It should. It's I don't care for it that much. I'd much rather watch the IP cartoons at night.
Right.
But the independent contractors and stuff that make fun of us, the 30 minutes after, that type of stuff. But
would you ever be in favor of censoring any news organizations?
I would not. Absolutely not. I am very old school free speech. Unless it's like the most blatant form of obvious hate speech or incitement to violence, like we have laws about that because it is a real thing.
Correct.
Other than that, I think free speech is an absolute. I believe in it. I think when we disagree with speech and don't like speech, that's the speech we should protect. And this was, as an old school liberal, the way we saw it.
Would you be in favor of censoring any news publications?
Never.
That's the answer I like to hear.
Okay.
What was your name?
My name is Rob Beer.
My name's Aaron Green.
Okay, who are you doing
Nice
this
to meet
for?
you. Just myself. I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you, sir.
Good question.
Would you ever be in favor of censoring any news organizations?
In what way?
Like government imposed regulations on certain news organizations for disinformation or causing dissent, anything like that, would you be in favor of silencing any voices of any news publications?
Well, that is a loaded question. So if it's about, it depends if it's about the people, right? If it's about a person that's genuine and authentic and feeling like they have something to share and needing to do that and people stopping them, then I'm not about that. But I can't say like this broad spectrum of like, oh, stop the government, because I think there are definitely parts of it still functioning that serve us as a people, but definitely could do better at this point. But
so just to try to get a straight answer from that, do you think that censorship of news organizations would be a positive or negative thing?
It could go either way, right? It's like everything. It just depends on their intention and is it censorship? Oh, because I'm caring for my viewers and I don't want to overstep boundaries, or maybe there's children present and we need to say it a particular. There's all these factors. So I feel like if it was a genuine censorship for the right reason, it could be a positive, like anything. But if it's just this blatant like disregard, like we're sticking a label on it and going on, I think that's the issue we're having in general as of a broad spectrum, not just news. But
what would a genuine censorship look like? How would you parse being genuine and censoring certain voices and letting other voices?
Well, for one in particular, I would say, like, as a woman in general, it's just if we, like, looking at the facts, like, right now, I think women, like, true, real women, born women, no offense to anyone or anything, but as an American right now, I think we should have even more freedoms, and, like, we've kind of been fighting to get, seen, heard, what have you, like all of our freedoms, suffragettes, we've been fighting for things. So it's like sometimes I feel like we should be honored and given the opportunity, much like now, like you asking me and valuing what I have to say. Like, so I think it just requires people also just staying present in the moment, being real, right? So what I'm getting at is if they're censoring something, like example, like back in the day, if you're watching a TV show and it's like cussing a lot and they bleep that out because they thought maybe there's kids present, right? There's an innocence there. It was really because they care, not a false PC culture, which I feel like is really the issue right now. It's not, so yeah, it requires values, morals. I feel like as Americans, we were really adamant on keeping and strengthening and giving to one another and our families and generations of people around us. So I feel like if we get back to the forefront of that, it's just like really being ourselves and like what's valuable, right? So I'm going to keep going for the positive because I think we the people have the power, and just like you're doing this, right? I think, yeah, it's unfortunate, all the stuff, but this is the positive that came from that. So I think that really it's just more and more opportunity for us to step out and be who we are. So just what you're doing actually is a cool example of, I think, trying to censor it, actually, to a degree. It might seem like censorship in some ways, right? Because it's not like you're saying, oh, this news isn't real, this was but it's more that we're seeking clarity and truth so we can have understanding and so we can go about our day-to-day and stuff.
Right. Yeah, my goal is to just be out here as an unbiased mediator for the American voice. Yeah. Another question I would have for you is, do you think that censoring news organizations would be a direct violation of the First Amendment?
I could say possibly.
Freedom of press is in there.
It is. Oh, there's a lot in there that I don't know that we get, that we're the people around us are allowing themselves to have, let alone that we as individuals are really getting, right? As Americans, we actually have a lot of freedoms, but it's also an individual thing, and only certain people know their freedoms and act upon them in a positive, decent, responsible way. So I think all these things should be considered. So if it was a genuine, again, if it's a genuine, but that's why I'm saying the blanket, the Band-Aid thing, I don't know if it's like, yes, we're censoring all, right? Then I think that's a part of this new wave of us having to adapt to where we are now, is that we're going to have to be more in the moment, more individual, more present. So I don't really know how that stuff works. If they, if they're doing this live and have someone watching and trying to edit real time, if they start with barriers and
Yeah, right. Like, who's in charge of the censorship would be the big question, right?
exactly, yeah, and right. If it's not just much like everything, I feel like though right now in America, is this just a job? Are they doing autopilot, or is that person present as an American that we value, a person that's been here long enough to know what we're going for and to add to that as a community?
Would you ever be in favor of censoring any news organizations?
I don't know. That's a slippery slope. That's a complex question because right now censoring is important. I think because there's some issues that like Fox News, I guess, would be an example of people that could spread hate and the wrong message and incite people to do hateful things. So censoring is important in some aspects, but I think making sure that the people are very informed on every issue is important too. So it's not a simple question, I guess, to answer.
Right. Do you think that censoring news organizations would be a direct violation of the First Amendment?
I think it would be.
So then we go back to the other question. I think you would not be in favor of censoring news organizations if you think that it's a violation of the First Amendment, correct?
Yeah, when you come back to that, it does come back to that First Amendment to free speech and not censoring anybody's free speech, but
or press or religion, right?
Yeah, or press or religion, but there is a lot of harmful things that happen. So
yeah, well, we do have laws against libel and not hate speech, but direct calls to violence. There's laws against that.
Yeah, those are good laws, of course.
Yeah,
those need to stay in.
Do you believe that censoring news publications would be a direct violation of the First Amendment?
Oh, yes. Most definitely a big violation. It's freedom of the press is. I'm a little slow in America right now. I'm just getting back from that Soviet state of Georgia.
That's okay.
Even my own peers that sat in fellowships where I'd studied, they say we can't have any press in here, and they're all press agents and stuff, like the great Nancy Javid. And we'd study one piece of literature, 12 lines, 17 sentences, or 17 lines, 12 sentences, and nobody expected, not even the press expected me to sync up with the accent, so it's kind of embarrassing. I'm just getting used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, censorship is, if we censor the press, we're not going to be able to find the bad guys that, even I too felt censored in 2005, trying to get my high school diploma from 2003, and so maybe it was 2003, either way.
Get out your way while you make your little interview. Alright, cool. Now go find somebody to play for. Awesome. My man, have you got a cigarette? I don't smoke, sorry about that. Have you?
I do not smoke either. Sorry about that, buddy.
If I see if one of you smoking later, I'm gonna call you bullshit.
Alright, sounds good, man.
Appreciate your opinion.
Hey, no problem, man. Have a good evening. And
you too, man. What was your name again? Ki.
Yeah, like in martial arts, they call Ki. Yeah,
that's a cool name.
Right.
That's a cool name.
All right.
All right, thanks. Take it easy, man.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All right.
That was Ki.